Hey, what's up you guys, Stoutmeister here, and today I'm going to be talking about Cumberland County, aka the very county that I lived in for over 17 years, the very county that I moved to from Holly Springs when I was just a 6-year-old little boy with my family, all the way to about 2 months ago by the time I'm making this particular video right here, where I finally got the fuck out of Cumberland County, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and moved all the way to Bradenton, Florida, being about 4 hours away from my good buddy, my twin brother, Atticus the Death Metaler. And oh man, Cumberland County, the home of Fort Bragg, the home of Fort Bragg soldiers, the home of retirees, because honestly, that's the type of town you retire in. That's not the type of town you want to do anything in. If you want to start your own business, or if you want to get in an entertainment field, if you want to do just about anything, you have to have the right connections, you have to be in the military, and unless you are in those categories, then good fucking luck trying to do just about anything like find a fucking job, which at one point in time when I was living up there, it took me almost a year to find a job, and that was before I worked for Coca-Cola from 2014 to 2015 before I moved down here. But yeah, that's a different story for a different day. Nonetheless, let's get to the topic at hand here. Cumberland County recently passed a law that bans all open carry, which means if you have a firearm that is a 9mm pistol or an assault rifle, you are not allowed to open carry anymore. And this was done in a 6-to-1 vote. Now, obviously, with laws like this that are being passed in different towns and counties in the United States, and more particularly all over the world in different countries, whether the laws are lenient or whether they're strict to the point where no one can have a gun except for the military, the police force, government officials, you're always going to typically have people that are in support of these laws. You're going to have people that are going to go against these laws. Typically, the person that is in support of these laws, especially in America, they're going to be saying things like, this is a great way for America to move forward. This is a great way for America to become a safer nation. This is a great way for America to move forward into the 21st century. This is a great way to end gun violence in America. All these other arguments that they want to put out there. Then we have the opposing side. They're going to be saying, well, all these shootings that are happening, they happen in gun-free zones, whereas if you were to try to pull that shit at an NRA convention, you would get shot within a second. Less than a second. Not to mention, this is a great opportunity for those that are opposed to these types of laws being passed. This is a great opportunity for them to bring up the domino effect argument, in which the government starts off with passing open carry bans. Then all of a sudden more media coverage is being done on mass shootings being done in gun-free zones. You have more celebrities calling for more gun control. Then all of a sudden concealed carry is banned. You can still own a firearm, but you just can't carry them in a concealed type of manner. Then all of a sudden more mass shootings are being done in gun-free zones. Even more celebrities are speaking out and they're expressing their opinions on how there should be more government intervention, more gun control. Then all of a sudden there's an all-out nationwide ban on firearms to the point where no law-abiding citizen can own a gun legally. Whether it's a 9mm pistol, AR-15 rifle, sniper, you cannot own any form of firearm at all whatsoever. If you have one, you will be arrested for it, unless you are in the military, unless you are in the law enforcement, unless you're a government official. You cannot own a firearm legally. Again, this applies to law-abiding citizens. And we all know that criminals follow the law, right? Now, before all you people jump down my throat and call me this tinfoil hat wearing nut job that watches Alex Jones 24/7 to the point where I become an introvert that does nothing but watch Alex Jones videos, just know that I see extremes on both ends. I acknowledge that there are extremists on both ends. I acknowledge that having no background checks is completely fucking stupid, and that just would not work at all. I acknowledge that the fact that there are people that believe their 1-month-old child should be able to shoot a 9mm pistol because it's their American right as Americans. I acknowledge that that is complete fucking stupidity, and I believe that a lot of things could go wrong with that, obviously, but then again, there are a lot of extremists on the other side that believe that America would be a safer nation if we ban all firearms. And to those people that think that, you're completely delusional if you think that all violence will end if we take complete control of guns, if we give our guns to the government. And I know this is just talking about open carry, but again, this could be a domino effect. Try to see the different shades of gray in these types of things. Stop thinking with this black and white mentality. The fact that we live in a world where people are so delusional that they actually believe that we will live in a nice utopia if we just give up our guns and give them to the government because the government has our best interest at heart. It is so heartbreaking to see that. It's so heartbreaking to see that, as well as these people are overlooking other types of violence that exist in the world, whether it be using anything else as a weapon, from a knife to a sword, bow and arrow, fists, feet. And what about other types of violence that happen? Sexual assault is another form of a violent act. And look at Japan. Japan may have very strict gun control laws, but a lot of people want to overlook the fact that Japan has some of the highest suicide rates, as well as having a forced in dedication to suicide, as well as having problems with sexual assault that takes place on sidewalks and in subways, to the point where there are people, more specifically women, that are calling for women-only subways as well as women-only sidewalks. And this is something that Random Xbox and I have covered in the past. And look at Hong Kong, China, for example. Random Xbox and I actually talked about this in the Debunking Onision Gun Facts video, where a multitude of stabbings happen. Yeah, the victims are alive, but they have that PTSD with them for the rest of their lives because of that incident. Violence does not start with a firearm. Violence and violent acts, more specifically, start with a person that is so mentally ill, they feel that they need to go out there and kill as many people as possible. And no one wants to talk about mental illness. Instead, they want to shift the blame to something else. When it was Columbine, it was Marilyn Manson and the Doom video game franchise. When it was Sandy Hook, it was Dynasty Warriors. I mean, for God's sakes, how much longer can we do the scapegoat game where we just shift the blame from one thing to another? Back in the 1980s, back when the PMRC was going on smear campaigns against musicians, more specifically in the heavy metal genre, when they were going on smear campaigns saying that these bands are very dangerous to listen to, do not show your kid this band, do not let your kids listen to these bands unless you want them to commit murder or rape or suicide, like how Judas Priest was blamed for the suicide of 2 teenagers, and how Twisted Sister wrote songs about sadomasochism when in reality the song wasn't about sadomasochism at all, and the number of heavy metal bands that were used as scapegoats for their own agenda. It's like, we fast forward to 2015, and I just think, have we really progressed as a species? I mean, technologically, we obviously will always go forward in that area, but in the way that we think, us as a species, have we really progressed in any way at all? Has our way of thinking progressed in any way at all? Or did we just find another way to manipulate people into doing what we want them to do because we want to appeal to their feelings? We want to use their feelings as a way to manipulate them into believing what we want them to believe. And speaking of appeal to emotion, let's look at what this commissioner was talking about when he wanted to delay this bill from passing. Commissioner Jimmy Keefe was the only one to oppose the law, hence the 6-1 vote. Keefe said he wanted to delay the matter for 60 days so county staff members could clarify what recreational areas are exempt from this law, which was reported by the Fayetteville Observer. Because the devil is always in the details, we should look at it again. In other words, there are loopholes to these laws. And hell, with these laws being hundreds of pages long, and we know from the Patriot Act that these politicians didn't even go through all 300 plus pages of that, so what makes us think that they're gonna look through all the hundreds of pages that are in these fucking bills? What makes us think that these politicians know better as to looking for loopholes in these laws? They don't give a fuck. Hell, there are politicians that want to totally control our behavior. And then there are politicians that aren't there for the best of us citizens. They're there because they want power. They're there because they want recognition. Other than that, they don't give a fuck about the best for the law-abiding citizen. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. And it's so fucking heartbreaking that we see people that actually think that politicians actually have our best interests at heart, especially when they propose laws such as these, for God's sakes. I understand that there might be circumstances where open carry may not be the best thing to have, especially if you're at a grocery store or if you're at a park or if you're at a place where it might not be appropriate to open carry a weapon. Like, I can understand where some people are coming from with this whole thing, so don't think I'm going totally against you people, because I try to empathize with as many people as possible. I try to see from as many points of view as possible, but again, there's only so much you can do to restrict gun violence. There's only so much you can do to prevent any form of violence from happening. Like I said, it doesn't start with a firearm, it starts with the mental state of the individual. It starts with their motives. Are they doing this because they're mentally ill? Are they doing this because they're pure evil? Why are they committing these acts? And if they can't do it with a gun, what makes you think they can't find any other way to commit that violent act? There's more ways to commit violence than just using a firearm. Using a firearm just happens to be easier. And what makes you think that a criminal will totally obey these laws? I mean, criminals can conceal weapons. Criminals can adapt to the system. They can do whatever they gotta do to commit their goal, to commit to killing as many people as possible. I mean, that's what criminals fucking do if they want to kill someone. This black and white thinking has just gotta fucking stop. Actually find solutions. Do the best you can to prevent these violent acts from happening. I mean, sure, you can do that, but there's only so much you can do before you just totally take the rights away from law-abiding citizens. The whole open carry ban thing that's going on, that I just feel like that's a potential domino effect. I feel like that's going to be something that'll lead to even more laws being passed when more of these shootings happening. I just feel that these laws are being passed based on appeal to emotion, based on what's happened with the Dylan Roof shooting where he killed 9 innocent African Americans at a church. I feel like this is an appeal to emotion back when the Sandy Hook shootings happened, back when the Aurora shootings happened, back when the train wreck shooting happened, Amy Schumer's movie Trainwreck to be more specific. And speaking of Amy, oh my fucking god, stop speaking about gun control. The question that you asked as to why people commit these acts, that's because there's sick people in this world. I mean, you and I might want the same thing as far as we want people to not be able to commit violent acts, sure. But the things that you proposed in your video, the things that you proposed in your speech, prove that you should not be speaking of these issues whatsoever. And just because you're a celebrity does not fucking mean that you're any better or any smarter than any of us average people. So shut the fuck up. Feel free to start a discussion in the comment section below. Feel free to agree with me, disagree with me. I really don't fucking care. As long as you're civil with me, that's all that matters to me. But anyways, I'm gonna go. Until then, stay tuned for more videos. Take care. See you later. Cueing epic ear-cleansing outro music.